Hello, good evening, and welcome back, everyone. Let me be the first to welcome you back to the Overwatch All-Star Brawl number 2, presented by Star Esports, double elimination tournament dedicated to the Overwatch Tier 3 community. I'm 3.007. I'm joined by the wonderful Sir Waltham.
Hi, 3 always glad to be here. Glad to be back at the Overwatch All Stars Brawl. It's been a few weeks, I believe.
Actually, it's almost been a month. That hurts. But in any event, tonight we have our matchup between returning team Citizens and Soesic Esports. I learned how to pronounce that just a few minutes ago, thanks to the wonderful individual I have here in the interviewer's booth with us. Say hello.
Hi, my name is Monk. I'm the general manager for Soesic Esports.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Monk. Congratulations and good luck today in getting into this tournament. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role on the team?
So my role currently is general manager and CEO of the entire esports organization. I mainly just help manage the team, find scrims, build staff, recruit players, that whole deal. And I've been doing it for almost 10 months for the org, so I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's been a really fun ride.
It sounds like it's been a fun ride, especially if you can talk that happily about it. So one quick, lighthearted question. Who designed the Soesic Esports logo, and where can I get one?
To be honest, that was created before my time at the organization, so that'd be the 100% on the owner's behalf. I have no idea if he did it or if he had somebody do it, but I think it looks really cool. So
It is pretty freaking awesome, yeah. So as you guys are going into this particular matchup, what's the first thing on your y'all's mind?
really just try to be consistent. The biggest thing leading up to this is that we've been kind of growing as a team more and more, getting better. Just really trying to improve each other individually and then everybody as a team. But the biggest thing is consistency. Just being good for one or two maps isn't going to get you a win in a match. You need to do it, throughout the entire thing. So we're just looking for consistency. That is like the thing we've been preaching for, the last month or two.
Awesome. It's a good mentality to come into here with this one. Now, before we get this matchup and let you go back to your team, we just have one final question for you. If someone was looking to get their start in also, creating an Overwatch team or an esports team of their own, what advice would you have for them?
Really just plug yourself into a bunch of Discord channels. If you're involved in any Discord channels, not just esports related, but Overwatch related, there's tons of people that post in looking for team, people or LFTs. People will be looking to build a staff, be looking for general managers, coaches, assistant coaches, VOD recorders, anything that you can do to just get your foot in the door, just to get started, can just help you with beginning. And then once you kind of find what you like and whether you go in as a coach, but you're more into like the general managing part of things, which is kind of how I got into it. That's kind of what you can kind of like refine what you actually want to do. But getting your foot in the door in LFTs in a ton of Discord channels is probably the best way to start.
It's the support staff that make any team happen. Thank you very much, Monk, for joining us today. Again, good luck to you and Soesic Esports.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, everyone, that was Monk from Soesic Esports, but Sir Waltham, I think it's about time we get started here. Looks like we're heading to Busan first.
Absolutely, Busan going to be the first map to start. And, I know Busan's kind of, at least in my conversations with folks, a little controversial as to whether people like it or dislike it. I think it's very dependent on the sub-map type. Mecha Base, one of my favorites, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to get to see that. But Sanctuary, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more on the other foot there. Either way, I think we're going to be seeing some fundamentals and Soesic Esports. For those who watch the All Stars Brawls consistently, they'll know how good this team is by the end of this because Citizens is kind of our litmus test. They've been here a while. They're not also a giant question mark in our system. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna definitely get a feeling for them. And they've been established. Citizens have gotten to those higher levels before. So it's a good opportunity for Soesic to come out here and put their best foot forward.
Yeah, and I almost can't even make a prediction for this particular matchup, given that Citizens is, as we've seen, so very well established. But they have not, not without a few pitfalls here and there, but Soesic Esports, we've seen absolutely nothing from them. I have no idea, personally, I have no idea how this team is going to be operating. I'm really excited, plus we're going to get them started off at possibly one of the crazier maps in Busan. A lot of open ground, a lot of levels to play with, and this new particular meta, Sigma might have a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you like a little bit of sniping action, you might get the opportunity for it here more than anywhere else on Busan. We're going to be taking it downtown. So with that being said, we do have just about 10 seconds to get these teams in there. So while we're waiting, if you have the opportunity and you feel so inclined, give us a like, give us a follow on the Twitch there. And who knows, maybe even drop a sub. Whatever you're feeling, we appreciate all the support, but we're about to get into it.
Yep, and here we go. The first lineups have been revealed from both teams. I'm seeing Eincrow and Rack Attack rocking the Pharmacy. That's old hat. That's pretty much standard. It's Mighty Owl and Yansox busting it up on the same side. We might be in for some dogfights.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be the case here. And it's fascinating. We've been seeing so much Pharah with Sigma. It's usually been one of those situations where, oh, Sigma's going to be so good against Pharah because he can angle his shield. Nope, has not been stopping the Pharmacy from coming to light a lot lately in the tier 3 scene and, you know, other surrounding games. But right now we're just going to have to see how these teams play it out.
Yep, and as the fight gets started, both teams rocking the Doomfist Abyss, getting out of the way of those rockets as they go straight for the point, and it's going to be first presence, at least going to Soesic. And no kills coming in yet, though Abyss getting folk. Yep, there it is. Now Salieri bringing his formidable Orisa to bear, and the battle in the sky wages onward, and it's going to be Citizens taking the point right off the bat.
Yeah, and really the only difference between these two teams' comps are going to be in the healers. The non-Mercy healers. We have the Ana versus the Moira. And the Moira is a little bit questionable here, because if the Mercy takes a lot of damage, the Moira can't necessarily heal that as much as an Ana might be able to with those long-range shots into the sky. So it's a little bit questionable for Seoli going to be playing that Irish healer.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are excited to play Moira because of the lack of a diva on the field, meaning that pretty much every single one of those little orbs are going to pretty much run their course if they're placed correctly. But in this particular instance, yeah, Healy is just not having a lot there, except when you pull out the Coalescence, and it almost doesn't matter, though, because another healer that gets to come to the forefront with no diva is Ana, and Sayumi just went crazy there.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing the team of Citizens be a little bit more aggressive. They're getting up right towards that spawn of Soesic. And Soesic looking a little befuddled right now. They're looking a little bit off guard, but they're going to regroup. And we're seeing a few ults on the board for the side of Citizens, and they're going to really be using those to their advantage. The Rocket Barrage and the Nano Boost can be a fight win all in itself.
Yeah, testament to how fast these fights are going and how the Sigmas are operating is Zack Attack is still only at 60% on his way to his Gravitic ult, but meanwhile, Purple is just about to build up to his, making excellent use, and there's the barrage right into the backline. Eincrow completely, with a little help from a friend, murdered, gets a nice little 2k there, and it looks like they're following it up, hoisting the team onto their rocket back. Wow, and oh goodness, there is a res coming out from Purple, rather Rack Attack, who is making sure that their team stays up just nicely enough, and it's going to be difficult for Soesic Esports to get back onto the point here.
Yeah, the Hammond going to be coming on just at the last moment to stall, but it's questionable when you have to kind of switch those roles just to get on there. Mighty Owl doing a 2-for-1 on themselves.
Yeah, and with getting Eincrow out of the skies there, that gives Mighty Owl enough time to get off the barrage lure and doesn't get any kills, but this might actually be the start of a resurgence here.
Yeah, it's certainly going to have to be if they want to be any success. Abyss trying to clean up, taking out Purple might not be enough, though. The point is continuing to flip in favor of Soesic, but it looks like they just do not have the manpower or coordination.
Yeah, they got pushed off just long enough. Salieri actually comes ripping back onto the point as a Reinhardt grabs the Mercy on the way in. So that is going to be the first round of Busan. Having seen these two teams go at it, that was a 0-100 from Citizens, so I'm kind of hoping that Soesic Esports brings their A game for the rest of this, as we know Citizens is a team that you leave one of them alive in a fight, odds are they might come out on top.
Yeah, an incredibly resilient team. I think that that's something that Soesic's really going to have to try to mitigate. I was going to say capitalize on, but that's not the word. And, you know, the Reaper here can absolutely be a play that you can utilize, especially if they're able to get tucked in nice and close to those tanks, which we've seen Reaper kind of have the advantage to do that with his increased or buffed shadow step. So definitely plausible here. It's just going to be about if Mighty Owl can get those angles and get that proximity to those big players.
Yes, indeed, and that is going to be a brawly composition coming out. Again, Abyss back on the Doomfist. Pascal will get knocked down so quickly. A clutch anti-nade from Sayumi means that the rest of the team is going to have short work. The barrier has gotten down, but with no Orisa to replace it, it's going to be a short-lived event. Citizens doing the cleanup on the point in what is easily one of the tightest points in the game.
Yeah, and this is, you know, for all I was saying about Reaper, this is kind of predictable. You have a Reaper, you have a Doomfist. What do you have to deal with the Pharah, especially since you're not running an Ana? That Pharah pretty much gets free reign, and you do not want to give Aincro that from historic reference.
Yeah, just about the only character with any capability of going after them is Sigma, and even then, their primary fire doesn't really get all that far. And I think that is going to be a correct move from Citizens. They're taking the fight right to the, kind of like the halfway point, and Aincro rips another barrage right into the backline, finds both tanks and a Reaper, who, as we discussed, is pretty much helpless to deal with this threat.
Yeah, even Rack Attack going in there trying to get some kills on the board. They're going to succeed in that. And, you know, the one death onto Aincro is not really going to be punishable because they have that res to bring them right back up. And we're still not seeing too much of a swap come through from Soesic.
Yeah, if they're going to be sticking with this close-range composition, what they need to do is they need to make Citizens feel the pain on the ground faster than Aincro makes them feel it from the sky. But losing CO right into that fight, it's the first kill. It's your primary healer. Lucio's good, but it's not that good.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to maintain that sustenance without that main healer. So they're going to back up. They're going to take it back. They're going to hopefully try to regroup. Now we're seeing the switches come through that start to make a little bit more sense. Mighty Owl on this Widow might be the ticket if they can land those shots.
Yeah, this is going to be tricky. There's a lot of barriers to work around with, but in the same way that Pharah can find those angles, Mighty Owl is going to have their work cut out for them. But if they do the job, then they're going to have a good time of it. A couple head clicks could be just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see the battle kick off with the Coalescence. A lot of ults being used to initiate, but it's only going in favor of the side of Citizens so far.
Oof, and a little bit of the Battle Mercy action coming out from Rack Attack, though they're also going to make good use of that res. And yeah, it's not looking good for Soesic Esports. They have picked up purple, but like numbers are definitely favoring Citizens, and right now they're going to have to make another touch on the point. Aincro actually tosses out a barrage and for once doesn't get any kills, though Default is there to pick it up, and again, with a anti-nade going on to the point, it's going to be difficult for Soesic to pick this one up.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, and Soesic right now just trying to play as much as possible. We're already seeing the stall characters kind of come out. Well, the Doomfist is the stall character, I guess. And the Sig 9 going to be trying to go into effect here, as it's known. The Sigma lifting them up. Going to be taken down too, but that will perhaps not be enough.
Yeah, so it's just going to be poor old CO on the point. They're not going to be able to last it thanks to the bongos. Citizens picks up Busan, blowing this game wide open. And I think based on what we've seen, Soesic Esports has their work cut out for them, but they might be able to handle it.
Yeah, Soesic Esports really needs to try and perhaps do something a little bit different. That Doomfist, especially against a Pharah, is not quite it, Chief. That is going to be a very tough ask of any Doomfist, especially when you don't have another Pharah to kind of rein in their opponent.
Yeah, it's rough. I liked what they were doing there, and it looks like they were even going to make a play for the point at the end. I think if they had a little bit more time, aka if they had made that switch just a little earlier, I think that fight would have gone the whole round rather would have gone a lot differently. Running short range right into Aincro's Pharah is not a recipe for any kind of victory.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you do have a lot of shielding that can get done. You can try to mitigate the damage of the Pharah, but it's only going to be to minimal effect if you can't close on the opposing team's ground forces fast enough, which if you're able to, then the Pharah is going to become basically impotent. But if not, the Pharah is just going to keep doing damage. We're going to see Aincro keep getting those fast ults, as we've seen, you know, even just through Busan. It's really not going to be effective for you if you're not taking a cue from Tenactin and being fast acting.
Yes, agreed. And speaking of which, if you saw a player in that particular matchup that you liked, and don't forget we have a lot more games to go, so there's an MVP poll right below the stream. Maybe let your voice be heard. We want to know who you think is popping off like crazy. I know there were some pretty sick anti-nades going in there, but that's not to say the least of Aincro taking advantage of them.
All right. We're definitely going to be hoping to hear you guys hear who comes through for the MVP poll. So put your vote down in the Twitch box below, as Threep has so lovely declared. And now we're going to be waiting on these teams to go through with this ban phase. And it looks like the first ban going to be Volskaya.
I don't disagree with that. Assault maps are interesting. Unfortunately for Sir Waltham, the Horizon Lunar Colony is not even an option. So getting the other unpopular map out of the way is pretty quick. Soesic Esports, though, they are going to be taking advantage of that ban from Assault. They're going to be moving right onto Hanamura.
Yeah, Hanamura, perhaps one of the most common Assault maps we see here. And, you know, I have yet to see a bit of play on this map, so I'm really kind of excited about this. And I'm hoping that we're going to see something not involving the double barrier, because I feel like that's going to be kind of the comp of choice, the comp du jour for a while. But, you know, logic probably dictates that that's still what we'll be seeing. This is not a bad Pharah map, particularly first point. You can kind of work the gates at a lot of angles and bypass those shields still. So I think that we might still be seeing a little bit of the Eincro Pharah. That's kind of a rough guess, though.
Yeah, agreed. Pretty much 100%. Honestly, can't really put it any differently. So we are going to be getting ready here. Citizens Esports, I think the one hanging on, so to speak. But yes, as we've also mentioned, by the way, this is a tournament where the map bans and the picks are a real deal and interesting to kind of see how the teams play the mind games with each other. I'm not convinced that Citizens didn't want them to pick Hanamura. We've seen what they can do on that map.
Yeah, Hanamura, it's a pretty good map for the side of the Citizens. So I believe we have a different map pool from those in the previous Star Esports Brawls, excuse me. So the map pool is going to be for Assault, Hanamura, which we're going to be going to up next, Anubis, and Volskaya, Volskaya being the one that was just banned. Control, Busan, Lijiang Tower, and Nepal as our options. Escort, Dorado, and Watchpoint. And for the hybrid, Eichenwald, Kings Row, and Hollywood.
Yeah, it's always a toss-up to see what maps actually get played. The popular ones tend to get banned for some reason. I don't know why everyone keeps banning Volskaya Industries. It's such a fun map to play on. Everyone loves it.
That's what I'm saying about Horizon Lunar Colony.
Well, hang on a second.
Let's see more moon action.
What is it? A zero gravity only fight? Like, only. I know you guys disagree on what peak Overwatch looks like, but it's definitely zero gravity. The game has never had a moment more spectacular than the addition of that particular game mode. But I think I've wasted enough time not getting debated. Let's see what Citizens comes out here on defense with, and if it isn't a bunker, I will be shocked. It's not a bunker. Citizens not playing bunker on Hanamura.
Yeah, this is kind of one of the advantages of this new meta, is that we get to see, you know, what the positioning is going to be for this team in regards to, oh, they're not immediately playing, you know, Bastion on high ground or a Baptiste even on this map. That's something that we haven't seen for the last little bit. So really going to be up to Eincro to take advantage of wherever they're at. But the Pharah, as I mentioned, going to be coming out. Those high ceiling boxes, sky boxes rather, probably going to be taken advantage of by Eincro.
Yeah, meanwhile, looks like Mighty Owl are going to be taking advantage of the newfound power that is Symmetra's ability to bust through bunkers. Also, did we talk about her teleporter? So this is going to be interesting. Obviously, they're probably going to be sending that Mei right to the point, getting set up very early. It's going to be up to Citizens to see if they can stop that from happening.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing the Baptiste come through from the side of Soesic. I really kind of like that. The Sim also going to have a lot more time to set the teleporter up because of those multiple shields. I mean, this example notwithstanding.
Wow, but Eincro gets taken out very early into the fight. It's going to be a lot longer for them to get back to the point, but for Mighty Owl then to actually get a teleporter up and going. So yeah, there it is. The Mei wall is in. A huge anti-nade comes out though, and despite one of the major damage dealers gone, it looks like the tanks are going to be picking up the slack.
Yeah, however, there is a tick on the point for Soesic, so they're going to be rocking it a little bit better than you might be expecting from the kill feed. They're going to be getting some progress, almost making it halfway there. Zack Attack and Mighty Owl getting cleaned up. But really, I mean, the disadvantage there was that Mighty Owl's teleporter got killed right out of the gate, and they had to wait so long to get another one up that by the time the battle was committed from the early pick, it was already broken out. The players were a little too widespread, and they couldn't get onto the point. If they were, that battle might have gone a different way for this side of Soesic.
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that I was hoping was going to be coming out from Soesic Esports, though. They got some teeth. They've got some serious action coming out here. And yeah, Einker's in the sky, but I was trying to compliment you.
Yeah, Einker was in the sky, however, so were billions of rockets that are going to be raining down on the side of Soesic. That is a very tough spot to be in, but that means that now they don't have to worry about bringing their umbrellas for this next push. However, on the side of their ults, not going to be looking that great, just a Coalescence online. And they've been leaning on this Moira quite a bit as of the last couple maps.
Yeah, so this is nuts. But they have also built up some ultimates of their own, but it looks like Purple in default rather going for a bit of a deep flank. That is going to get punished very quickly by Soesic Esports, who pretty much have free reign now to just walk onto the point and take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like to see that. I like to see teams checking their corners, checking, not being caught off guard. I like it comes down to the fundamentals and not just one giant bamboozle. But in this situation, we're seeing the Valkyrie be committed from the side of Raktak, not going to be efficient enough to clear up the point. And because of that, now we're seeing the point get fully capped over to the side of Soesic. They're going to be going up with some slight snowball potential, but Citizens does have a handful of ultimates that they're going to be looking to use. Mighty Owl, though, kind of close to that High Noon. Zac Attack close to that Graviton Flux, so a little bit of potential here.
Yeah, speaking of Mighty Owl, I'm loving this pick. They definitely learned their lesson. Now it's a chance to hit scan rather to bring it out, but Crow just so dang strong on that Pharah. So difficult, but there it is. Waltham, just like you said it last time, Soesic Esports sneaks in a tick.
Yeah, Soesic has been really good about kind of backdooring the point progress. And, that's something that for all the play that's going on for Citizens, they kind of need to work on. You let that happen two more times, you've lost the game all of a sudden, and you're wondering where it went. You don't necessarily want to give yourselves that opening for an L. And now we're seeing this high ground be attempting to be taken by Soesic. I think that they have the opportunity here with that Scrab Flux.
Yep, and that is an extremely powerful ultimate that can be taken advantage of quite nicely, but busting through this choke is going to be a little difficult. Looks like the Doomfist is going to be leading the charge. Ironcrow has that barrage ready to go, though. They know where everyone is. It could be a simple matter to end them, but yeah, with Zac Attack going down, Nyansox follows, so this push is going to be over. It looks like the little poke fight that happened in there went the way of Citizens quite quickly.
Yeah, and, aside from all the advantages that a defender normally has in that situation, default on that Doomfist is basically knowing you're gonna have to funnel through a tunnel, and that's a little bit where Doomfist likes to play his right clicks, because he doesn't have to worry about hitting you. The walls can be angled just so slightly to where you hit the back of the wall, and he can deal massive damage because you're all gonna be cloistered in there so nice and tight. It's a tough spot to play against enemy Doomfist, especially when the enemy team doesn't peek, or the defending team doesn't peek.
Yeah, it's spooky business, and yeah, it's real difficult to get anything out of that situation. And the bongos are down. Looks like Doomfist. I love default trying to get in there and get maybe a little sneaky kill. Speaking of checking your corners, but it looks like Soesic Esports is going to be able to wait this bongo out.
Yeah, and that's going to be advantageous for them. They're going to have 5 ults on the board. We'll see if they're able to make anything work with it.
Wow, this is insane. Both Sigma ults going off at the same time. Seismic Slam also coming in. The Halt is in as well. It looks like this might have gone the way. Oh, wow. Ironcrow gets ripped out of that barrage before they can even do anything. Seo Healy, they're leading the way with that Coalescence.
Yeah, so now it is 4-on-4, but that is going to favor the defense here. You're seeing the Orisa drop as the Doomfist gets brought back. And right now it's looking pretty rough. The High Noon coming out a little bit late. Mighty Owl, that might not have been the play you're looking for, my friend.
Yeah, they get Sayumi, but again, that's such a kill on that lost fight means that's going to be replaced by the defense quite quickly. Citizens still sitting on a couple ults. Meanwhile, Soesic Esports threw everything they had into that one, and they didn't come up with any more progress.
Yeah, and we're still going to be seeing a few more ults come out of Citizens. They're definitely going to have defaults. Meteor Strike, they're going to have the Nano Boost, which we might see go on to Ironcrow once again, as we've seen it happen so many times before, helping to build that Rock Barrage up just a little bit. And it's difficult, because do you play on the high ground where you can just get funneled in by explosions and flying punches, or do you play on the bridge where you can get knocked off and have to reroute yourself? That's a very tough question to answer.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to be in that position if I am Soesic Esports, but it looks like Mighty Owl is going to do the very bitty best they can, leading the way. But there's that Seismic, and the Sigma ultimate, just so much damage. Axel goes right down. No way could they even get around it. Sayumi staving off McCree just long enough to make sure that the rest of the Soesic Esports goes down without a fight, so to speak. Ultimate-wise, I don't see a lot for Soesic to bust this wide open. It's going to be a rough push.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like their positioning attempt on that last push, though. They didn't try to take it directly onto that rightmost high ground. They tried to play it onto the over ledge, and that's really kind of an advantageous position. You get the full view of the Pharah. You can't just funnel rockets into the tunnel, and, you know, it feels a little bit more comfortable to play. But right now, we're seeing Abyss perhaps playing a little bit lower on that Doomfist, ready to do some sneaky punches.
Yeah, hopefully they get something out of it because they're running out of time and someone needs to touch that point, which can lead to some unhelpful entries like Eincrow, racking up a couple more kills as default. Yes, does get the sneaky punch that they were hoping for. It's a 6-3 situation. Mighty Owl actually dropping onto the Reaper, try to stay alive on that point long enough. Zack Attack flipping over to the Hammond, but I think this point is going to be over before they have a chance to get back here.
Yeah, so on the plus side, Soesic gonna be having that overtime wick burn down, but they did still get some progress. They did get that one full tick and barely, but they're gonna be feeling all right about that because that means that now Citizens has to get that same amount. And as we've seen, 0.2 defenses or 0.2 offenses rather can be very difficult to kind of have to surmount. So right now, I think we're going to be seeing if Citizens can deliver on the offense against Soesic. This is going to be another good test for them.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, they did make that progress that they did, and that does mean that they could actually technically win the map.
Yes, absolutely. That's what they're going to be looking for. And not only, you know, can they win the map, but it's going to be a little bit more realistic than just getting the first tick on the first point, given that that first point can sometimes be a little bit of a rollover, even to the best of teams.
Yeah, it can be a rough map to take home. Hanamura, assault maps in general, but Hanamura in particular is really difficult to get through. The spawn advantage is just so crazy, and actually just getting through those choke points is frankly ridiculous. But meanwhile, Salieri, don't do this to me, man. Don't get set up on that Zarya and purple. What are you doing? Get off the Reinhardt. Not fair. Anyways, Mighty Owl looks like they're going to be taking a little bit of a page out of Eincrow's book, bringing some Pharah action to the play themselves. And honestly, I think that's a solid choice. Hanamura, as Sir Walterman mentioned, nice big skybox, and Pharah players have been doing a fantastic job of finding the angles around this double barrier composition.
Yeah, and how appropriate it is that somebody named Owl is playing the flying character. That's very aesthetic to me. However, we are not going to be seeing Salieri and Purple playing the Ryan Zarya as much as you might be hoping for it. We're going to instead be seeing the Sigma Ori combo as of late. And right now, both teams running that pharmacy. It's going to be a little bit of a dogfight here, 3.
Yeah, Eincrow gets hit very early on into that fight, and if with a pharmacy backing you up, you need to land 2 consecutive direct hits right in a row to pull that Pharah out of the sky. And if you're lucky, you get, rather if you're targeting well, you get the Mercy instead. But Eincrow actually goes straight down, but from Abyss of all people.
Yeah, Abyss showing that Waltham not necessarily talking right all the time. Doomfist can take out the Pharah. I wouldn't count on it to happen too many times, however. And right now, it's going to be the side of Citizens continuing to just have this prolonged fight. And now things are looking a bit sketchy for the side of Soesic as the fight's starting to lean in their favor a little bit.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Rack Attack has to spend the res, pulling Sayumi back up, and Coalescence already coming off from CO. This is nice. This is exactly what you want to see from your Moira. Get that ult, get it going, and Mighty Owl wins the battle against Eincrow in the sky. Rack Attack follows up with the kill onto Nyansox, but as we've said from Citizens, this fight isn't going to be over until everyone from Citizens is dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Citizens, not a team you could just kind of count out of the fight just because they're down 1 or 2. Default and Rack Attack and in company doing a good job to try to retake that as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, so they can just proceed on to second point, and that's looking like exactly what they're going to do. Not looking like a lot of change up yet from the side of Soesic. They might be choosing to stick with this Pharah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. First of all, I also want to say thank you very much to Salty Does Games for dropping a huge cheer in the Twitch chat. We love your support. Also, everyone else, don't forget to follow this channel if you love seeing this crazy awesome content. What an interesting halt. But Mighty Owl, again, opening this fight quite quickly. Rack Attack has to spend that res before the fight even begins.
Yeah, and that's not a place you want to be in now. Soesic doesn't even have to worry about where they kill people because it's going to be unresable either way. And now the kill's just kind of flowing back and forth, but they need to take a lesson from last fight and not let off the gas until it's absolutely won.
Yeah, speaking of Eincrow, sailing into the backline, getting some sick ultimate percentage, as it's just so difficult to bring them down. They get themselves back up to 70%, overtaking Mighty Owl once again before Zack Attack rips them out of the sky.
Yeah, as well, Rack Attack kind of feeling a little bit aggressive, hiding from Mighty Owl, but then pulling out the blaster, trying to fend off the bird of prey as much as possible. Not going to be working, but as we move forward, we're going to be seeing a lot of ults online for Soesic, and not as many for Citizens. So we're going to be looking for that grab flux coming through that could be so critical in these small hallways, as I was mentioning. Those hallways can be so lethal sometimes.
Yeah, speaking of lethal hallways, looks like Abyss took a leaf out of the playbook of default this time around. Sneaky Doomfist sneaks up and murders their opponent. Eincrow is going to find CO, but again, as we've said from Citizens, it's going to be difficult even for them, despite how scrappy they are in a fight, to pull this one back.
Yeah, Zack Attack and Purple both going to be having a little bit of a Sigma battle. Neither one really walking away with any kills, but they're holding each other back. And, you know, in that situation, you have to think if a tank player is not necessarily coordinating with the rest of their team, it's going to be advantageous for the defense because they do have those quicker respawns. Getting here a little bit faster, perhaps able to then give the off-tank a little bit of support. And right now, we're still seeing a lot of ults built up. This is going to be leading to one crazy fight.
Wow, they're actually opening up with the grab flux right onto Sigma, who then tosses it out from themselves. And Mighty Owl opens up their barrage first, gets the jump onto Eincrow. Salieri also down. Default Sayumi follow quickly after. Citizens not looking so good in that push, but if it was a dry push to get their ults up and maybe coax a few out from Soesic, then it did its job perfectly.
Yeah, and perhaps a little bit of a blessing that Rack Attack got killed before that res could go off. Otherwise, there would just be a little bit of a feeding moment on whoever they ended up bringing back. I believe it would have been Eincrow, but if you're on the side of Soesic, you have to be careful because Citizens now going to be working with an almost fully loaded chamber here. Purple, the only one ult deficient right now, and that is not a spot you want to be in. You need to be very careful. This rocket barrage might be the game changer here, especially since there's not a lot to really stun out Eincrow.
They get it. They knew where Mighty Owl and Jan Sox were hiding. They unload the barrage right into them, and now it's going to be a contest for the point because only 34.8% is needed. There's no one left to contest except for Paxul, and now it's the full might of Citizens going down on them. Zack Attack comes back in with the Hammond to try and stall it out, but it's looking not so great as Default racks up kill after kill.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Hammond come out just kind of as an emergency swap here, no longer. But Zach's still been doing a good job at keeping a presence on point. And just in time for the Winston to tag in. Although the Winston going to be doing a lot less surviving.
Yeah, Winston is as Winston does. They die very quickly. Mighty Owl on the Tracer, bless your heart. And they are also going to go down. Abyss follows. That's it, everyone. Citizens take Hanamura. And now we are looking at what could either be a big redemption arc for Soesic or the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it's certainly looking to be that way. And, you know, while that entire team fight was happening on the point, would like to talk about kind of how it broke down, because we talk a lot of times about how a Widow, you know, away from the team fight can be so lethal when nobody can put pressure on her. The same could definitely be applied to Eincrow's Pharah here, because you don't have the possibility to really have anybody look up into the sky, otherwise you're going to get punched right into the gut, meaning Eincrow's able to take a little bit more advantage just up in the air with Rack Attack, while Sayumi going to be healing everybody on the ground. It's a tough spot, especially when you're staggered just trying to stall out.
Yeah, and Eincrow did a fantastic job of just saving that barrage for the right moment. Mighty, the pharmacy from Soesic Soesic, they were just kind of hanging out there on that top light, and yes, that's a fantastic position to be in, but if you stick there too long, it's going to be pretty easy to suss out where you are, and Eincrow gets to take advantage of that, and that fight gets pretty much ended. You knew they were going to take the point there, eliminating the Pharah, the Mercy in one fell swoop, single ult, 2 kills, beautiful, blows it wide open, so now Soesic Esports rocking back on their heels a little. I'm curious to what they're going to be able to bust out here.
Yeah, they're really going to have to think about what they want to play. Citizens going to be having the option to ban one more map. So they have a little bit of control here. They're going to choose to ban Eichenwald, which is a little bit surprising to me because we're going to be seeing that Eichenwald, I think, is one of the more Pharah-friendly maps out of the hybrid section. King's Row also a little bit Pharah-friendly here, and it seems to have been working for them, but perhaps a little bit better. Maybe they're just wanting to change it up a little bit, maybe not lean on the Pharah for some reason.
I can't blame them for that.
Yeah, you got to change it up a little bit, but Soesic, they're going to have the option to choose here, and we're just waiting on them to get the confirmation as to what we're going to be playing next.
Yeah, now in this particular situation, you can't go for Assault again. We just handled that map. I don't know if Soesic would be eager to play another control map after the way Busan went, though their options again would be Lijiang Tower and Nepal, both of which have some, again, you mentioned it, pretty sick Pharah play. So in terms of Escort and Hybrid, yeah, so the Eichenwald ban comes in. Maybe that's it's King's Row. Another Pharah map.
Again, it's so peculiar because in a lot of these maps we're seeing the traditionally Pharah strong points are always in the front. I would think that if you're Soesic, you'd want to lean kind of away from that. You might want to go Hollywood because there's some strengths for Pharah on Hollywood, but I think that snipers have a huge advantage over her if they're able to post up on Cafe and try to get those clean shots onto her. So you at least have a little bit before the Pharah starts becoming a major pain towards you.
Yeah, like you gotta be able to pull something out of there, and we've seen that Einkrow's air game is enough that even if they're going to be busting out Mighty Owl on the McCree or possibly even the Widowmaker, it's not necessarily a lock, stock, barrel. It's not a perfect counter. Paper does not beat rock 100% of the time in this particular situation. The support that Einkrow gets from Rack Attack is just so dang strong, and the team on the ground brings the pain just as quickly. So in this particular situation, I'm not sure what you go with if you are. If you're Soesic Esports, but I assume that since they rock in the King's Road choice, they have a plan in mind.
Yeah, and, just kind of how things have been going, the plan, probably going to involve Sigma, probably going to involve Orisa. We've seen that a brawlier comp is very favorable on this map, and Sigma Orisa kind of provide a different sense of brawl for the teams here, so very likely we're going to kind of see them become one of the faces of standard comps for King's Row here instead of the Rhine Zarya, especially with how we've been seeing the Pharah being played so much. Rhine Zarya not pretty much neutered by that DPS player. However, we are going to be waiting just a few moments before we get into game here. Citizens waiting to choose a map side, not knowing whether they want to play on offense or defense at the current moment. So we are just going to be for a brief pause. But if you're enjoying what you're seeing, be sure to hit the follow button, the various social media endorsements that we have available to all you fine folks. Be sure to show us some love and show the players some love. Love seeing that.
Yes, definitely. Also, make sure to give that MVP poll below the stream a little click if you see in a player that you like. The casters have been talking over and over again about a particular player, but if you guys are following someone and you'll like to see them called out, make sure you get them a vote.
Yeah, you definitely want to show that love. If you're from a team or if you're in support of a team, definitely pop those votes into the chat. And if you're not supporting any particular team, most interested in what you have to say because both teams have their backers, right? Like it's not uncommon for teams to come in here and bring their own fan bases, but I love hearing what the unaffiliated fans have to say, what they're seeing out there. It's always kind of a fascinating performance here. You're asking me, just to do a quick glance and see who I think's going to get it. Einkrow, definitely a contender.
Absolutely, though, I do think that we should be shouting out as well the unsung heroes, the support members, Rack Attack, or rather, Einkrow, the Pharmacy in the Sky, is nothing without the Mercy, but Sayumi's also been dropping some sick anti-nades. Meanwhile, if you're looking at Soesic Esports, Mighty Owl and Abyss have been doing a really solid job of trying to go toe-to-toe with the very formidable DPS duo that is on Citizens in terms of Einkrow and default. Abyss was rocking some Doomfist there. I think on King's Row, this could be an interesting matchup to see which of them is actually going to be able to pull this one out.
Yeah, it's going to be going back to the Street Fighter days, the Tekken days, if you're a fan. I'm going to be seeing that pop off here in just a little bit, but we now will have the option from Citizens to go on the defense. They might be feeling pretty confident that they can end this game rather quickly, but with that being said, Soesic definitely in the hot seat to have to turn that conception around, otherwise might be taking an early L.
Yeah, of course no team wants that to happen, but if it so shakes out that way, of course, we're not going to be seeing. This is not the last we're going to be seeing of Soesic Esports. They will drop down to the lower bracket, where they will have one more run at the grand finals before we have to say goodbye to them forever. Of course, it could be Citizens, taking a dip down, but with 2 wins in the bank already, unless Soesic begins their reverse sweep right here, right now on King's Row, well, that's all I hear.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tense situation. Soesic hopefully looking to bring it right back to them. So right now we're seeing that the teams are just getting ready to return back to the voice chat. Both teams giving us the ready signal. As soon as we see them in there, we will be hopping right back in. But King's Row, let's talk about it. We know that Farah is highly likely to be run on that first point. She's, even before we started seeing Farah all over the place, we're seeing that was not necessarily an unfriendly phase for the Rocket Queen herself. But second and third point, Threep, I don't think they're going to run it on third point. I think they might on second point. What are your opinions?
Eincrow is extremely strong on the Farah. I think they're gonna run Eincrow on the Farah until they get shot out of the sky to the point at which they're feeding. We haven't seen that yet. Mighty Owl has been the one, it looks like, switching onto the hit scan here is to try and make a play at them, but so far they haven't been able to muscle it through. I think Eincrow's gonna stick it out, despite how, it's not necessarily your top pick for the rest of the map after point A, but if anyone can make it happen, it's probably going to be Citizens.
Yeah, that is certainly the way to look at it. So now we're going to be hopping into it. I gotta say, I'm gonna go ahead and pull some predictions here. It's Waltham wrinkly brain theory time.
Uh-oh.
I think that Abyss should not be running the Doomfist here. I know we've seen them prefer that Doomfist a lot, but with the way Salieri's been performing, I think they need to put some pressure on the Sky. That's going to mean something like a Widow. That's going to mean something like a McCree. And if you run a McCree, you have the added benefit of having that stun for the other Doomfist, who's going to be in your backlines trying to get, your soft, squishy supports punched into walls. You have that to lock him down just a little bit. You'd like to see it, but I just don't know if they're comfortable enough to run it.
Yeah, I get that Doomfist is pretty much one of the barrier breaker heroes, no pun, in this particular patch. But yeah, I think I have to agree, it's not necessarily been working out for them. If they want to make a stand here, I think they have to switch up their game from that, close range, fighty composition they've been running so far, and honestly just switch full bore into a kind of a long range murder comp. Maybe get some Hanzo in there or something, anything to deal with this danger in the sky that is Eincrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, for those of you at home just tuning in, we're going to be having Soesic Esports on the right in the lovely red. They'll be on attack first. Likewise, Citizens on the defense on the left in blue. So be sure to keep those straight away. We did not have any switches come through on the defensive or offensive sides. So we're going to be having some consistency come through.
Yeah, and I can't honestly blame Citizens for taking that stance. Starting out on defense, it's nice, You get the you get the option of setting your own win condition. If you can do a full hold on point A, you're pretty much made in the shade. Even if you let them go a little further, if they complete the map, well, then so be it. You have to, too. Otherwise, you put the victory box on the ground. You know exactly where you need to go to. Now, looking at this, it looks like Soesic Esports might be dancing around the idea of setting up that long-range competition, but Abyss back on that Doomfist, I don't know. Meanwhile, though, shocker, Eincrow's on Farah. No one saw it coming.
Yeah, Eincrow pulling out the random pick of Farah. I had no way of predicting. This is pretty standard for what we were seeing from this team so far. We're at a 100% Farah run rate, doing some rough guesstimate math here, and we're seeing peculiarly the side of Citizens do a much farther back hold than we've traditionally seen from the side of any defensive side here. They're going to be not necessarily holding up the most forward choke.
Yeah, this is interesting. With Citizens has a tendency to bunker up, but they look pretty spread out right now. So Salieri's going to be alone on the point. It's going to be just Eincrow giving them some support with Purple setting up on the high ground to try and take advantage of that action with, and there it is, Default already finds Abyss and rips that hero from life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Default, we've seen, has been tending to get the better of Abyss in every situation. That's why I stand firm on my statement that I don't know if that's necessarily the best play here. But right now, the dogfight's not seeming to yield a whole lot of fruit for either side. It's really been the other end of the DPS spectrum that has really been proving effective so far.
Yeah, I'm liking that Mighty Owl and Yansox are able to, hold their own against this attack coming out from Minecro. They're actually doing a solid job of pushing the health bars into the low, but really at this point, all anyone's doing is feeding those support heroes' ultimate charge a little longer. But man, look at that 19-8 again from Sayumi, goes right up, sailing into the high ground, separates the team out.
Yeah, and this is kind of the smart play that we need to be seeing out of Mighty Owl for them to take it. They just need to have enough time to really get some advantage, but they don't have that time as members are getting picked off from Soesic's team.
Yeah, Default goes down pretty quickly. Both Reses brought into the fight, so now it's kind of an even matchup, and all of a sudden, Soesic Esports coming alive. Abyss grabs Default the minute they come back up. Pascal grabs Purple. Coalescence is on the field. This could be the start of Soesic taking the point and starting this map off right.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Einkrö dropping, they have pulled the teeth from the side of Citizens. However, they need to make this quick because, as we've mentioned before, we've seen some shenanigans come through from Citizens, and they can absolutely retake. Does not look like it's going to be the case this time, though. A nice time bank on the side of Soesic. It's one they haven't probably seen in a while.
Yeah, I'm digging this. This is exactly how Soesic needs to start this fight off. They chose this map. They definitely had a plan. This is clearly a map that they're used to playing. I'm liking what they come out here. Proving the casters wrong one right after another. Pharah, no problem. Doomfist, absolutely. Abyss sitting on that ultimate here. This could be interesting. It's about coming up for a big 6, though, for Citizens.
Yeah, and there's not as much coming through from Soesic. Ciali gonna be lacking in that Coalescence ult charge. Default getting hit by the rock. Not quite quick enough, though, as Pascal's still gonna be brought down.
Yeah, the bongos are here, though, and that means the damage coming out from Citizens is even more crazy than usual. And despite Einkrö not being in the sky, looks like Rack Attack's going to be doing some Battle Mercy action of their own with that Valkyrie rockin'. And Salieri finds Zack Attack, the Rack Attack, and the Smack Attack,
Now we're seeing the ult start to flow very heavily. Mighty Owl trying to get some purchase with that Rocket Barrage. However, Purple having that shift ability up and online, going to mitigate a lot of that damage. But still, we're seeing Soesic come forward here with a bit of progress still. They're looking better than they have already in the prior maps.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is awesome. Soesic coming alive indeed. Mighty Owl is doing really, really good in this Pharah duel. They just, there it is. One of the greatest sleep darts on the planet. Takes Rack Attack, or I think that was the stun from Sigma, actually, that knocked Rack Attack out of the sky.
Yeah, they need to be careful, though. Einkrö has that Rocket Barrage, looking to be using it. Not able to find any purchase for it. Oh, man, Soesic head on a swivel in that instance. You like to see that play come through, and because of that, they're going to be rewarded with a second point. Wow.
Yeah, that's the kind of reflexes that makes play the game stuff happen. Look at that poor little Mercy, poor little Rack Attack, taking cover behind the crates as Soesic, with plenty of time on the clock, coming in around the corner here.
Yeah, we're really going to be seeing Soesic kind of in the hot spot here. They have the advantage in terms of momentum. They're definitely going to be feeling pretty good about this. Ult's pretty dry for both teams, but Default getting an early kill into Abyss.
Yeah, that's the way you want to bust it open. Stabilizing on defense is nice on King's Row at this particular point. It's very defensible. Spawn's very easy to come back from. And Yansok's going to get a taste of that Sigma medicine, a little bit of that stun action. Barrier getting low, but Abyss then finds the kill back onto Default. So now,
Yeah, we've been seeing some great aggression come out from Soesic here in these last couple of pushes, and it's exactly what you need. They have not been giving any reprieve to the side of Citizens, and because of that, the cart makes it to third point with almost 3.5 minutes left. This is a turnaround for Soesic.
Couldn't even get back on the cart. So powerful was Soesic Esports in their attack. Unbelievable. So, holy moly. Yeah, so Soesic Esports putting up the points now. It's 3-0. 3 minutes and 24 seconds left on the clock. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're going to be feeling pretty good about that, but they do now have to put the shoe on the other foot. They're going to be on the defense, and we're going to see kind of how Citizens measure up to that, because they might get, they still have the opportunity, rather, to get a better time. It's going to be a tough ask, but it's certainly not outside of the realm of all things possible.
Yeah, this is going to be tricksy coming out for Soesic Esports. They know how scrappy Citizens is in a fight. Their defense, solid. Their attack, who knows? Citizens tends to be, again, the scrappy team. They're sticking with the exact same heroes they've been playing pretty much the entire time, so you know what you've got coming to you. But Soesic Esports is still going to be rocking that far in the Doomfist.
Yeah, and if you're looking at positives for Soesic, you can say that the aggression and the stick-to-itiveness that the citizens have means that they're going to be staying in fights a lot longer just to potentially lose them. We've seen so many times where these teams have, had 3 members, and these 3 members are fighting for, an extra 10, 15 seconds, and then they get the rest of their reinforcements back. Well, if you're able to really kind of manage that, you can really burn a lot of time off the clock, even just in trying to win one team fight without any sneaky stalls tactics.
Yeah, speaking of sneaky style tactics, it's going to be the front door for Citizens. They come marching right through the choke, and similar defense coming out from Soesic Esports. You have Sigma up on the high ground there, and then you have the rest of the team down on the point with the Orisa, and that is going to lead to a split, and Zacatak goes down almost immediately as a result.
Yeah, and because of that, we're now seeing Eincro get much more aggressive around this hotel tower. And with the few members of Soesic picked off, it's going to be very difficult. The res going to be coming through for the Orisa as well.
Wow, but yeah, it's just the kills from Citizens way too strong. Einko separates out 2 members of the team there, pushing them behind the choke. Meanwhile, Default goes absolutely crazy. Busting open the kill onto the Sigma was perfect way to start this fight.
Yeah, it certainly was. They really needed to get some momentum going here, and that's exactly what they're going to get. 5.5 minutes to get it through Streets phase. They're going to be looking to do it. And right now, the ult's not built up too much for either side. In particular, Nyansox looking a little bit low for a support player at this phase. But when you're hanging out with Justafari, it's kind of to be expected.
All right, here we go. Default goes down very early on into the fight. Eincro gets the nano boost, but it doesn't look like anything's going to happen from it. Default gets rezzed and then immediately comes back with the kill. Nyansox, yes, they do get the res off there, but now Default, Eincro finds Mighty Owl while Nyansox was busy rezzing.
Yeah, and then Eincro going to hit him with the big rocket barrage. Abyss going for the rocket, or the meteor strike. That's a little bit questionable. He's going to be trying to push up onto Purple, getting just a little bit of stall as long as possible. But in the end, we're going to be seeing him get cleaned up. And I don't know if that meteor strike was necessarily worth it. You bought about 3 seconds of time off the clock.
Yeah, and now you have no ult to bear in this particular fight. Also, I want to give a shout out to Zacatak, who did exactly what everyone wants Sigma to do when Pharah is barraging. Throw that shield right up in their face and make them pay. However, though, Citizens is going to be rounding up the last portion of this particular point, and the Streets phase will conclude. Abyss goes down quickly, the res comes in, and now it's Bongo's time. That shield is going to get melted very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Doomfist able to bypass a lot of shields here. Surprisingly, not much contest aside from that meteor strike from Abyss coming through for the side of Soesic, but Mighty Owl getting some purchase here. That might be the turnaround. That was potential for him.
The Mighty Owl does mighty things indeed, tossing a 2K into the fight, making it a little easier for Soesic Esports to get some purchase, get their feet back on the ground. Time looking very good for Citizens, but in this fight, until Abyss was going down, I was saying Soesic pretty much had it locked up. Now Abyss does get res, massive ult coming out from Zacatak, but Eincro already with 3K.
Yeah, and the meteor strike now going to be dropping in from the side of Default. Default going to actually be using the meteor strike to help out the cart a little bit. Again, don't know if it was necessary, but Default may just want to have stayed alive to get that aggression. And Mighty Owl going to be taken out rather late into the fight, or after the fight.
Yeah, that's if it were any other point, that would be a pretty nasty stagger. In this particular situation, they're going to be able to come back to the fight very quickly.
Yeah, now we are going to be seeing the switch to Mighty Owl, or from Mighty Owl to the McCree. You're going to be keeping a little bit more of a heads-up approach onto the skies. I still think that the Doomfist might be the one you want to swap out here, but seeing Default get that nano boost ready to come in from the top turnbuckle.
The longest ground pound I've ever seen. That was really fun to watch, but now it's going to be Purple dropping in the kill onto Paxel. Zacatek goes down as well. No tanks means no sandwiches, and in a barriers-focused meta, that's not going to be good for the defense of Soesic. Oh, the victory box is right there, but there's no one there.
Yeah, not really going to be much to contest from either way. And, you know, the time bank's still looking a little bit competitive from these teams, only about a half a minute, 40 seconds at worst between them. And right now, you got to give it to Citizens a little bit, just because they historically have shown so far that they're a little bit more proficient than the side of Soesic. No disrespect, it's just how the results have been coming up. And right now I think that Soesic, if they changed a few things up, they would definitely be able to punish Citizens for some of the plays they're making, but they just either don't have the kit or they don't have the heads up awareness to do that quite yet.
Yes, I want to draw attention to that, actually, that when Default came flying into the back line of Soesic Esports, and Mighty Owl was there and ready with the flashbang, they didn't die from that. So they were nano boosted, 100% fact. That's a huge quantity of damage reduction you have going there. But you want to have that McCree constantly. If Default is going to be that much of a problem, if Eincrow is going to be that much of a problem, just have Mighty Owl on McCree constantly. They're very good at the hero. I think they would have to do a much better job of stalling the, how do I say this? The utter murder coming out from Eincrow. Meanwhile, however, Mighty Owl jumping onto a Widowmaker, this could be some nice early pick action.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that they stick with this and it's not more of just a scouting situation, but it looks like it's not even going to be in existence as Mighty Owl popping onto the Pharah to attack for this phase.
So this is going to be an interesting situation. Neither team really had a solid defense on point A. Both Soesic and Citizens had a pretty easy time of it, finding that first kill and then ripping through the rest of the point. So now it's going to be up to Citizens, if they want to, keep this from going on too long, have a good defense going. Meanwhile, Soesic going to have to find that first kill again. And wow, there it is. So Nyansox goes down, but the all-powerful Eincrow also falls. That is going to get res, though, and you can't res if your Mercy did.
Yeah, the Mercy going to be getting the res, and we're going to be seeing the Nyansox come through from the spawn rather quickly, so it's basically going to be a continued first fight. Neither team getting punished too hard for the first loss, but Pascal dropping early is not the way you'd like to see it shake down. Ooh.
And the kill onto Nyansox again, just after rezzing Pascal, because again, there was Default go flying past your barrier and murdering everyone. Oh, and there goes Zack Attack, also going down in a similar fashion. Salieri is going to be pushing that line up a little bit for some extra punishment.
Yeah, again, this Moira has been a mainstay for the side of Soesic, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. Moira not able to heal a lot of these DPS players because of her limited range. Really, I think you'd want to go something like an Ana in this kind of situation to really get those long-range shots. Sayumi's been doing a very good job as well at utilizing the kit for the Ana. It might be an option moving forward for Soesic.
Yeah, and so, but for now, they're going to have to deal with a Coalescence in the sky going right after Eincrow. A fantastic play, but they're going to be taking advantage of the hotel to get away from that beam of doom. Meanwhile, Abyss goes ripping into the backline themselves, and they actually survive the encounter, allowing Mighty Owl to pick up the kill. Now, the Seismic does ults for days, barrage and a Seismic slam, another 4K for Eincrow.
Yeah, and that's really a shame because Abyss showing some great survivability there, but survivability means nothing as Doomfist if you don't get some kills that come along with it. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, wasting your team's time trying to just kind of stall out and do a little bit of disruption. It wasn't quite working. Abyss needed to get some kills there. Maybe that wouldn't happen. Maybe we see some different results come out, but with Eincrow's Rocket Barrage, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, meanwhile, that is going to be Zack Attack getting halved very quickly. Abyss goes right down, thanks to the combined efforts of just about every player on the team. And the Anti-Nade is in again, Sayumi keeping this fight from happening with just a single cooldown.
Yeah, and that is valuable. Sayumi going to be operating under a pretty mighty performance buff, or performance bonus there. And Seoli going to be taking some early damage right on, healed up by Nyansox, but that means that the Pharah's not getting the damage increase onto Mighty Owl, and another Coalescence to start.
Coalescence is the way you do it, but Abyss, he tries to go into the backline, but instead he gets caught by the Gravitic Flux, and that's it. The purple takes them down. The res is in, but now there's only 30 seconds. This is going to be the final push for this point, but Eincrow, again, just finding the kills past the barriers.
Yeah, absolutely. This has just been a much darker looking push for the side of Soesic. They have a few kills going in their favor, but they really need to get onto point, try to make it count. It's going to be just the Moira trying to get up onto point. Default not going to be letting that happen.
Yeah, it sucks for Pascal, but Orisa, despite being a quadruped, extremely slow and no mobility abilities whatsoever, they're not going to be able to get back to the point in time, and they do not advance the ticker at all. 0 capture progress percentage, meaning it is time for Citizens to attempt to take a single third. Now, the defense from Soesic was, or rather, the defense from Citizen was intense. A lot different from their first attempt. I'm curious if Soesic also is going to be bringing out much more of a tenacious D.
I think we can kind of expect a repeat of what we just saw from the defense onto the offense if Soesic's not willing to kind of change up their play style here. And you hate to say it, but 4 minutes, that is an incredible amount of time to have a perfect hold. It's looking grim, though not impossible quite yet for Soesic.
Yeah, we clearly just saw Citizens pull it off. Absolutely possible for Soesic to be able to pull it off as well. Abyss back on the Doomfist. Option. Got your barrier breaker. Seo Healy again on the Moira. I'm curious, but at least Nyan Sox is going to be able to provide some rezzing capability, making that walk from spawn a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, you have the potential there. Einecrow might be doing just a little bit of scouting with this with this Widow, rather. Might be trying to get some early kills. Yeah, they're exactly going to be looking for those shots.
That was close. Yeah, so Zac Attack, they're going to get focused up a little, and then they're going to be jumping right back to the Pharah, and who can blame them? It's been the mainstay of this offense so far. Default goes sailing onto the high ground there, now that Sigma has been dislodged from it.
Yeah, and Zac Attack taking an early anti-nade. That is not a great start for this defensive team here. Salieri rolling with the ball. I feel like this is a look we haven't seen in a while from Citizens.
Wow, the damage they're pulling out is crazy. Already 50% of the way to the ult, Abyss goes down, and the presence that Citizens has on the point right now is crazy. Einecrow finds Mighty Owl. The res looking to come in, but just a little too much damage coming out. And that's it. That's going to be the entirety of Soesic Esports getting dislodged from the point. Anti-nade onto Zac Attack, the last remaining sole survivor. That's 33%, and that's the game.
Yeah, so it's going to be going in favor of the Citizens. Some good plays coming through from Soesic, but it did not look like they were quite ready to take on Citizens. Although, as we mentioned before at the beginning of the cast, Citizens, one of the more name brand teams in this tourney historically, so it's kind of come to be the expectation from them.
Yes, Soesic Esports absolutely put up a fantastic fight. Sick barrages like this coming out from Einecrow, though, it's just really difficult to deal with if you're not expecting it, if you're not used to it. So I'm looking forward to see what Soesic Esports and possibly the rest of the tournament's contenders see what they can pull out now that they have a bit of a VOD to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. The VOD's going to be a little bit beneficial here to go over perhaps some of their previous pushes, previous experiences in this tournament. However, as we move on to the end of this match tonight, we're going to be getting a little bit of an interview coming in from Citizens. It's going to be Rack Attack, the Mercy player themselves. I'll be excited to hear it. But before we catch that interview, any particular plays that stood out? Any contenders for that MVP vote in the Twitch chat?
Oh, man. I mean, you'd be forced to pick between one of Einecrow's plays, but the enablers too. It's the Mercy in the sky, always keeping their back, always having that damage boost right when they need it. The change with Mercy, especially given that you have to have that beam on before the projectile leaves their gun, meaning you can't just, tag it at the end. So Mercy, I think, has to do a lot more on the field. But again, then there's those sick anti-nades coming out, so I don't know. It's a tough choice.
It certainly is going to be, and with that, we are going to be hearing Rack Attack come into the chat. So Rack Attack, how are you doing today after that game, my friend?
I'm feeling pretty good. Relaxed. I don't know.
It certainly seemed a little bit more relaxed from you guys for this game. It didn't look like the opposing team, Soesic, was giving you too much hassle, with the exception of their first offense on King's Row. Was there any point where you guys were feeling a little bit shaky outside of that? And if so, when?
Not really outside of that. I mean, I've actually never played Mercy. Our person's internet just shut off, so I just kind of came. But yeah, we started to feel it. They went through pretty quick, and then we were just like, all right, let's beat them, and then beat their time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we saw kind of play out from there. Now, you say this is, one of your first kind of experiences into playing Mercy. When you're on, let's say the ladder, what do you as a player, what does Rack Attack prefer to play in the support lock?
I actually haven't played any comp this season. I don't know. I one-trick Zen on account, but people get mad.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that, but sometimes you just gotta let the balls fly, and I definitely can't fault you for that one. Moving forward, who do you think, in your opinion, is one of the biggest contenders, and you can say yourself, I always allow people to say themselves, for the Twitch MVP vote, and why?
Probably Sayumi because we checked and she was winning once. So I don't know. I voted Ankra. Ankra does a lot. Ankra's good.
Yeah, I think that me and Threep were definitely talking about not just the Pharah play, but particularly those rocket barrages. We're getting a lot of value from Aincro. So we were definitely kind of singing the praises a little bit, but I think the kill feed did most of the work for us in that. But I think we're about ready to wrap it up here. So Rakatak, do you have any final words for our audience before we let you go, my friend?
2 of the 3 maps, I had more pistol kills than reses. It was great.
Fantastic. You can't pull the DPS out of the player sometimes, but with that being said, Rakatak, thank you for popping in here, answering a few questions with us. Go ahead and let you go decompress with your team, whatever the situation may be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Now, with that being said, Threepwood, we are about ready to wrap it up for our first cast of the night, but a birdie tells me, Threepwood, you're going to be having another one here in just about, checking the time, a little bit, in about 55 minutes.
Oh yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight, we're going to be throwing another matchup here, but before we get into that one, Sir Waltham, I think we have a very special, most valuable player to announce.
Absolutely, it sounds like we do. We are just waiting for the votes to be tallied. I have not heard the results. Threep, have you got the envelope as it is?
I can happily say that it is, in fact, Abyss from Soesic Esports who is going to be getting the MVP award, and well-deserved despite the struggle against that Pharah in the sky. Abyss on Doomfist was really solid choice. I think if Soesic Esports can find a way to deal with that threat, then that is going to allow Abyss to shine even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Abyss getting these kind of call-out awards gonna be setting them up for a good position, letting at least the side of Soesic know that, it's not all grim and gray. They did get 3-0'd, but they're gonna be popping down into the losers bracket, and we've seen teams certainly climb through the losers brackets in some situations, pretty much all the way back to retake the crown, retake the belt. And hopefully, for the side of Soesic, we might be seeing them climb through quite a ways, if not to the very end again.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they pull out. But in the meantime, don't go away too far because we have Winnable and Dismissed coming at you in just 50 minutes. Meanwhile, however, we're going to wrap this one up today. This has been Threepwood007. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter at Threepwood007.
And likewise, I've been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter at Sir Waltham. From everybody here at the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl, we want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for catching a view. Thank you for all your patronage if you've been choosing to go that route. So for the meantime, we will see you in about 50 to 55 minutes. And with that, be safe, everybody.